think one of the things that's going to become more and more important as third-party cookies go away is first-party data, and especially in a logged-in environment. So what that means is the news sites that exist, they are the ones that are best positioned to get users to log in, to get consent, and then to have a conversation with those users. So this really means that if we're going to start to see ad spend shift to these kind of logged in environments, then the problem of being able to unlock as much of that inventory as possible, all of the brand safe inventory, so that so that the advertisers can get as much scale as they require. I think that's going to be really, really key. So this is something that we do need to address before the cookie goes away. But also, I think it's a really good opportunity because I think that what we've seen is some of the campaigns targeted to this new kind of contextual 2.0 can perform as well as some of the audience targeted campaigns of the past. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity to grow that.
I would actually, I would actually take a slightly different angle on that, which is that I agreed that there will be a move towards publishers who have first party data, and we'll see a rise in that. But I think also contextual targeting is becoming a really important piece of this conversation because, of course, there is increasing regulation. There is limited, the amount of data that we can use for behavioral targeting is becoming more limited. But I think also just advertisers are becoming more conscious. Or a bit more wary of using personal data for targeting. So I think that as part of this conversation, contextual targeting is becoming of increasing interest and importance. And the two conversations tie in quite closely together because we're seeing a lot of developments in terms of contextual targeting solutions. But in developments of contextual targeting solutions, we're also seeing developments of we're also seeing developments that can help us in terms of recognizing the content of a page for brand safety purposes. So overall, I think that the rising importance of this conversation or rising interest in this conversation stems down because context is becoming more important.
Yeah, one of the things that I would really like to see is more of a feedback loop. So at the moment, brands are using brand safety tools and contextual tools to target pockets of inventory, and that's where the story stops. But what I'd love to see is much more innovation in the space to capture what's working. So if we can semantically understand a page, then we can start to see what type of content is leading to engagement. And then from there, if we can feed that buy side information back into the sell side filters and create like a virtuous cycle where we're optimizing as we go, I think that becomes quite a powerful product to have.
On the point that Harvin made around the feedback loop, I guess that's quite an interesting one that comes down to a kind of a comment on measurement within this. And I know Harvin and I have spoken about this previously, but as we move towards a cookieless world, the ability to measure is obviously becoming harder. To be able to feed into a system or a technology, you need to be able to quantify, you need to be able to feed in numbers. Technology doesn't understand sentiment. So as we move towards kind of a cookieless future, and it becomes harder to attribute effectiveness down to a number, I think that feedback loop is becoming increasingly difficult to be able to achieve. A separate point would be around you asking about where I see the future or what I would like to see in the future. Something that I'm starting to see kind of glimpses of and hope to see expand further is being able to recognize context outside of just words. So we see environments that are growing are connected TV, OTT, video. And right now, contextual targeting solutions are kind of the most effective ones are based on using semantic understanding of the words. And the contextual targeting solutions that exist for video, for example, are based on metadata, which is not necessarily the most accurate or doesn't give us as thorough understanding of context as some of the solutions we have on desktop. And so that's an area that I would like to see evolve and also predict to grow.